It's sick. And as I said, like Dylan reached out and I love the kind of serendipity of these things. We text, I was like, I need to find someone to do this. Mm-hmm. Should we go to my mate's gaff in North London? And then, thanks to our sponsor, Big Fish, very kindly letting us use their wonderful abode. What I want to start with, I did a very kind of cursory bit of research on the old LinkedIn, Linky D. And I saw you were doing a talk in, I don't know where it was, anyway. And it said, you said, I said to be an entrepreneur, you have to love the taste of your own blood from all the times you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
What does your blood taste like?
I must somewhat like the taste of it, I suppose.
Dracula vibes.
I drank shitloads of it. Funnily enough, I'm in the drinks business, and I think I probably drank more blood than the actual liquid that we make.
But yeah, what is it when that quote? I think it was from the Huberman podcast that spoke to you. Why did it speak to you?
I just laughed because a good example of this is our business is getting more sophisticated and much bigger at the moment, and we've just hired a CGO, which is a Chief Growth Officer, which is a startup fancy name for a general manager, managing director, 2IC, and they've come from the corporate world. And there's just days where I'm just like, you'll wake up in the morning, and when you're working in multi-markets as well, so you're asleep and stuff's happening. So you could wake up and it's the best news in the world. And then by the end of the afternoon, your day's completely fucked. You know, everything's happening. I'm just like, oh, you got to be joking me. Or you wake up and it's like that, and then something awesome happens at the other end of the day. You're never bored, that's for sure. It's very, very dynamic in that sense. And then, you know, there's so many times where you're just like, am I going fucking crazy, or is this happening, you know? And, you know, it's I've only just actually figured out what gaslighting is from like just like doing stuff in business. It's only just been recently where I'm just like, where you question yourself and you're just like, am I just going fucking mad? Am I working too many hours? Like, what's happening here? So, that's, to me, what he's getting punched in the mouth and punched in the face and the nose, and getting a bloody mouth is all about, really, because that's what it is. But you're in such a dynamic and exciting world. It's just like, I'm not just putting stuff in Excel. I've got other guys that do that, and they're like, yeah, I just built the best spreadsheet. I'm just like, I couldn't think of anything worse, dude.
Yeah. The Excel spreadsheet. I mean, I once had to do it for an old job, and now I looked at Excel the other day. I was like, this is just too many fucking grids, like all that. It baffles me. But what you said there about, you can wake up. Global brand or building global brand means the time zones means you can get pulled from hyper negative news in the morning to hyper positive news in the evening. And I think that is that up down is ultimately the founder's journey. And I think the founder. Why I love founders, you've ultimately got to be the hero of that journey. And I think there's a gazillion different ways you can say what it is. You said, drink your own blood. I think that 4 words, drink your own blood. I'm like, fucking hell, that speaks to me deeply. Stuart Forsyth from Morning Figures, he was like, I'm trying to Aussie accent, he's like, Mate, there's 2 types of founders. Is that good?
Bad. That's pretty good, pretty good. Yeah.
There's 2 types of founders. There's the ones who push it, and there's the ones who drag it over fucking glass. And he was like, I'm that guy. I'm the one who's going to fucking grab it and just drag it over glass. And it's that almost masochistic love for doing it. And I think I think what you said there about you said, am I going mad? In the last couple of weeks, what has been an example of the low and then the trampoline high?
As a founder, as you were just saying as well, and there's the ways that you can do it, you can run through brick walls. There's people that can do that, and there's people that can't do it. There's people who can have a business, and people that can work in a business, and they kind of don't both coexist, really, because you're just mad enough to take the risks and have no fear in many ways to just go after it. So to answer your question, in America, it can be like painfully slow sometimes. And it's the drinks market that you have to crack, and you would think that the culture completely lines up and is exactly the same as Australia or even here, and it's just completely different. It's which is strange because, like, if you go to Tokyo, right, you're like, well, look, I've got fucking no idea what's going on here, and yeah, you cop that culture shock really quickly. And you go to Singapore and it's way more conservative, you know, and then Malaysia is across the road, and then, you know, there's predominantly Muslim and just totally different. And you know, the socioeconomic standard there is just like, I'm like, how do these two things like across a bridge, you know? So the highs would be like this week, where it's just like
Hungry pod, mate.
the hungry pod and bringing it home on the hungry pod. But I landed and we had a beautiful dinner at Cole last night with media, and I've had like fantastic meetings at some of the places you could only possibly dream of. And when a meeting goes really well, they go, oh, hey, talk to this guy. Oh, here's my mate. You should go meet this guy. Or, you know, it snowballs like that if you're doing the right thing. And like a lot of people would say, referral is the best customer acquisition, of course. So I just had one of those weeks. The proof's always in the pudding. When I first went to New York to launch it properly last year in September, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm on. Like, so many things. And like, it just... I don't know, man. Maybe there's a thing called the Japanese nose. Sorry.
Japanese, no, as in honker?
No, like no. So basically they don't say no, right? So
I
figured that out there.
Nose, yeah.
Yeah, so I figured that out there, or someone told me about it. They'll just say yes, 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 and then never give it to you out of respect.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, okay, so this isn't going to happen, you know? So... I felt like maybe there was something a little bit similar going on in New York. But anyway, proof's in the pudding. But everyone here has been extremely helpful and up for it. And, you know, non-alc started here from my good friend Ben Branson, and you're mates with him as well. And to come here, this was always going to be the final boss. To like, this is going to be the proof if we've done a good job. And so far so good. There's a bit of work to do on trust for the category and the products and the flavour of the liquids. But I feel like the liquids are getting better around the world, and there's some really great ones here. Bativo's great. She's building a brand properly. So yeah, I think we've kind of helped push that next step. Non-alc had to go that next gear. And as big players come into it and start making non-alcoholic versions of their stuff, they can't do what non-alc needs to do because they have boundaries, because they don't want to shit can alcohol as well, you know? So you can't really get that edge and cut through without being independent and a bit loose. So
what you said about the Japanese things is so interesting. I've always remembered the Nike book, that Shoe Dog book.
One of my favourites.
Yeah, and he talks about, I think he talks, again, back to that, you know, whatever word you pick or saying is, you know, drinking your own blood. I'm going to say eating your own blood, drinking your own fucking blood. His was, you know... I'm running down a dream and I'm running from something. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But he talked about how he had that book, the Japanese, How to Do Business with the Japanese. And he was going on those flights to, I think it was Tokyo. I don't know whether it was Tokyo or not.
It was with Asics, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was with Okasonora. I'm trying to
because that's what the Asics style is. They have that one. Yeah.
And he was basically saying that the Japanese just constantly say yes, but it's actually a no. I find doing business, like, not that I do business pan globally, but the cultural differences are something that really intrigues me. Let's go into Japan. Like, describe how, if everyone's saying yes, but they're actually meaning no, how have you got them to say yes and actually execute and launch non in a bar in Tokyo?
So that's a lot of that was the importers' work, and I actually don't know, to be honest with you. Japan's really interesting market. Not all things are equal with the way that the drinks business works in all these countries. There's a lot of similarities. The UK is actually quite unique compared to Japan, but Japan's interesting because we have an importer, and then they have sold to 120 wholesalers.
Right.
And you have to be with all of them because the Japanese culture is about respect. So they'll only buy from one buyer and buy the full wine list from one buyer. So that's why you need to be with all of them because they've got that relationship with them. So he's done a great job there. It's America's just passed it, but it was our second biggest market. But it's really kind of hard to navigate it and figure out kind of where all the stock is as well in many ways, shapes and forms. So to get past a no or a yes, you've got to try to get the information from the wholesaler that sold it, and they won't share it because it's competitive, right?
But then how do you activate that sounds really like corporate wanky phrase. Yeah, sort of try to avoid those things. But yeah, how do you activate? How would you activate Japan or like Tokyo? Like what's from your perspective? Because there are a gazillion brands trying to get these wholesalers' attentions or importers or distributors' attention. Even if you get into their catalogue, there's still a gazillion brands. So once you're in, what is Non doing differently to be like, right, go and get us into these bars?
In Japan?
In Japan, yeah, I think Japan's an interesting specific to go down.
Yeah, so I was in the meetings and I'm like, oh, hey, give me the stockist list. Like, yeah, I'll get it to you. And I was like, and then that's when I started to figure out, it's like, oh, he actually doesn't know where it is. And I was walking through Ginza and I saw an old Aperol umbrella. I'm like, oh, this little Italian joint looks cool. And I was just sitting in there. I was like, oh, I'll have an Aperol spritz or I'll have a glass of wine on the way home. And I was like, fucking hell, like, Non's on the menu here. And I was like, the most random joint in Ginza. Like, Ginza's huge.
Ginza's in Tokyo?
Yeah, so yeah. You've got Ginza, Shibuya, Shinjuku.
I went to Shibuya, yeah.
Yeah, so Ginza's a bit more like corporate, high-endy.
Is that where all the, like, so I went there for the World Cup,
2019.
Yeah. And that's where, is that like, it's kind of like the Knightsbridge. There's a road I went down, I saw Burberry, Tommy Hilfiger.
Yeah.
It was kind of...
Yeah, but they'll have like a building there, which is like Ginza 6, and they'll have another one. And then basically, I reckon Ginza probably has like 4 Gucci stores and one in every block.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, and then they got the same in Shibuya. So Shibuya's that main road. In Shibuya, that main road is a Morisando, and it has the bridge that goes over to Harajuku. So that might be one of the ones you're talking about. But basically, you know, wherever there's a fucking Apple shop, that's the best. That's the spot, right? It's not hard to figure out where to go.
Yeah.
So what were we talking about? Okay. So I spent 3 or 4 days trying to figure this out. And I was like, I think the only way is to add a sticker inside the carton, and maybe the wholesaler won't split it open and figure out that you're trying to get the data.
So I put a sticker in the...
in the carton saying, hey, if you want a free training, book this, it'll open up and scan and give us an email, or hey, do you want the free stopper? Hit us up, because then we can start to see and interact with our customers there.
Yes.
And I was like, that's going to be the only way that we're going to find out here what's going on.
Did it work?
I'm putting stickers in boxes like the boys in the factory are doing literally right now as pallets are about to go to Japan.
Yeah, but I love that problem solving ability where you, because it can sometimes be as simple as putting a sticker in a box, offering one of these stoppers, which we're going to talk about shortly, because I've never seen anything like this, that can get... I just like creative problem solving, and sometimes it's literally as simple as putting a sticker in a box that can totally revolutionize your business. So you're sat in this bar in Tokyo, Ginza, whatever it's called, Aperol Spritz umbrella, and you're seeing your brand evolve in this country. How has, because alcohol-free wine or non-alc wine has, I think I get it with beer, I get it with spirits, with seedlip. With the wine, I think that's a much harder cultural block to get through. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, if I'm having a load of beers at the pub, and I'm moving from half cut to full cut, and I need to sort of put a bit of a stopper on it, I'll have a couple of Lucky Saints.
Yes.
To just almost give me a bit of a parachute of a breather. But when you're cracking,
Parachute's a good way to put it. Yeah. I like that.
If you're cracking open a bottle of wine, it's more of a momentous occasion, and it's more of a. It's just a different occasion. I think there's more barriers with that. Like, how are you breaking down those barriers to be like, this is why you should be drinking non-alcoholic wine, or non specifically?
So to start with, non lives in this wine space that I actually don't, as a wine alternative, which is the category name we came up with when we started in 2019. And I think it's a terrible name for what we do. It started in London. I had a non-alc pairing when my wife did, and I was drinking the wine pairing at the Clove Club. And I was like, these are really loose, these drinks. They're really interesting. Just kept on having more. I was like, why can't you buy it? Like, the best kitchens in the world are making these themselves and not using alcohol removed products. Why can't you buy that level of drink in a bottle? And that was it. I was just like, I'm just going to do that. I was like, this feels like a fun idea. And then the need and want for it was just massive. It had no market research. I knew nothing about non-alc. But I'd already so deep, I'd spend 30 or 40 grand on the branding. I was like, well, let's put it in a bottle and see what happens. And it turns out they're really hard for restaurants to make. They're really difficult. They hate making them. The labour cost against them is hours and hours and hours, which we obviously consume and do ourselves. So I think why you've probably had good non-alc experiences, this is my opinion, good non-alc experiences in beer and spirits, I'm not surprised, because, and it's the same thing as we do as an alternative, is we have multiple ingredients. So a really dumb way to put this is, if you think of white cabbage, it's shit. Like, it's not yum, right? You add a bit of salt and sugar and ferment it, it becomes sauerkraut. Now imagine you try to reverse that back out.
Yes.
Wine's got a singular ingredient, being grapes. All their aroma and body comes from the alcohol. So you pull that out. So let's say we're reversing it like sauerkraut, right? What could you put back in there to make it good, and then trying to keep it like wine? So for me, with beer, there's hops, malt, barley, whatever there is. You can dial things up. You can tune them up. You can add a little bit more sugar. You know, there's a bit of water in there as well. I know the Lucky Saint guys are doing it very at low pressure, de-alcoholizing it, but heaps normal from Australia. I'm pretty sure, sorry, heaps normal if I'm wrong, but in Australia we have a low fermenting yeast, so it just creates less alcohol. So they're just creating beer, basically. They don't have to remove the alcohol. Seedlip, a spirit, again, it's got the botanicals, it's got the levels. You can dial things up and pull things down. Raspberries, chamomile, verjus, salt, bit of sugar. We've got more things we can play with. And I think it's also important. I think beer is realistically the only place that, in a consumer's head, in my opinion, of course, and obviously I'm biased because I don't make a product that's alcohol removed, but beer makes a lot of sense, because I think you can just be like, yeah, this beer just hasn't got piss in it, right? That's fine. But the spirits that win, like a Seedlip, is something else, something new, and takes you to a new place, takes you to a new experience. And that's what I had at the Clove Club. And that's what non does as well. And that's what I can just see on people's faces, like, oh, fucking hell, like, yeah, sick. Okay, yeah, this is like how you're meant to be doing it. This is proper, you know. And that's why I can see why Bativo is winning here in this city as well.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Honestly, means the absolute world to me. I'd be so grateful for a small favour, please. It is so hard growing a YouTube channel. It is so bloody hard. If you please enjoy these videos, just click the subscribe button. More subscribers equals bigger guests equals better conversations, and hopefully you can learn more as you build your food and drink brand. Thank you so much.
It's almost, yeah, because it's almost like you're not trying to be a wine replacement. You're trying to be as something else. And I think, as you say, within beer, it's just the occasions you kind of do want to be a replacement because, as I say, you want to parachute in. Or like last night, I had a couple of beers, but I went on to the Estrella Zeros because I had this podcast today. That works. But if you're having like an occasion, like I actually had a Bativo Lucky Saint in Mare Street Market. Have you been there? Mare Street Market in Hackney. No, mate, check that out if you're going that way today. But that's a sick.
Is that out near the West Ham Stadium?
Like not a gazillion miles from there.
All right, I'll go on Sunday.
Yeah, so my mate's got a brand called Local, and they're on draft there. They do low calorie beer. Sick brand, and but I was thinking, why is this working? And it's actually, I'm just kind of pulling things out of my arse here. But what I mean is, with these brands, as you say, C-Dip isn't a gin replacement. I know a lot of people, mass market will probably think it is. But what Ben was doing is he was creating something completely new. Correct. It was a new. It wasn't a replacement. This is a different type of drink, and it was, with all the P's and just the genius of the whole branding. Bativo, same kind of similar situation. Like, I tried that, and I'm like, this isn't a replacement to X, Y, or Z. This is a whole new experience.
Yes.
Same thing. So you're in the Clove Club with your missus, having a meal, trying these things. You then go back to Australia. What are the 1 to 3 steps? Because, as you say, alcohol, non-alcohol, whatever the fuck you call it, is kind of ubiquitous now. I was getting there in the UK. 2019 was a long time ago in that trajectory. You've almost got to be a bit mad to be like, fuck this, I'm going back to Australia and going to create it. So what were the steps you took?
Well, there's restaurants like Bray, there's restaurants like DONNY, Fruitamon, So we don't have Michelin stars in Australia. Michelin's not there, but we have the good food guides and the hats, and it's the same things, the same principles. So these are 3-hatted places.
There's no Michelin in Australia. Why is that?
I don't know. They've just gone to Malaysia. It's in Singapore. It doesn't go to Australia. Actually, someone told me it's like something to do with like some corporate stuff.
Interesting.
Something doesn't exist there. It was something, yeah.
But it is the hats, isn't it? Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
And that's owned by The Age or Fairfax Media. Equivalent of that would be maybe The Times here, I suppose. And then they've got they've got The Age, Australian Financial Review, and then they've got hats in New Zealand as well. So anyway, doing those, and then I was actually working on another cosmetics brand because I was in cosmetics before. So I had I won't say the name of it on here because I'm a bit embarrassed now as I get a little bit older, but I had a hipster-centric Barber brand that was hair products, shampoos, body washes. No, I'm telling you. You have to find it on LinkedIn.
Is it called Stans or something like that?
No, Stans is the sandwich shop. That's a whole other story.
We'll get onto that. I like sandwiches.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was working on another one, and I'd done all the branding with agencies that I used for non, and they're called The Company You Keep, TCYK out of Melbourne. And I was traveling around the world at that point as well, looking for a nose. So a nose is a perfume mist. If I was going to bring something out, it had to be smelling as good as a Lalaba or an Aesop or a Diptyque, a Byredo, legit. Dyson Durga is probably my favorite in the world. Anyway, so that's what I was doing, and then good idea, bad idea. I still don't know. It's sitting in a deck on my computer, the whole branding that is ready to go, basically. But I was wanting a tea blend for it, and we could make some music. And I was DJing for 10 years before that in and around Melbourne. So all of these things made sense to me. I like tea. I love music. And create this home onsen vibe, right? 4D was what I was calling it at the time, actually. Now I think about it. So when was that? That was 2017, 2018. And then I asked a chef that I knew through his brother. His brother ran ayahuasca retreats in Colombia, and I went and did those. and I did them 3 times. We sponsored them and flew them out to Australia. They've come and done ayahuasca as well for some people and helped a lot of people. And he was like, "Oh, he's out of work. You got something?" I was like, "He's got this new shithole factory, like just paint or something, And I said, "Oh, can you make these tea blends?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, maybe." And I was just like, "Oh, you ever had these non-alc pairings in these restaurants? They're fucking awesome." He's like, "Oh yeah, I starched it. I remember I was on the juice station for 30 days or something. Because I fucking hated it." I was like, "Beautiful." So anyway, that's how the formulations got off the ground. I was very particular about what it needed to do. It needed to be viscosity, it needed to be body, it needed to be super interesting, have really interesting ingredients. The design on the label, salted raspberry and chamomile, similar to what the Labo would do or the cosmetics world would do, and it's like sea buckthorn and hinoki, like there was those 2 hero ingredients, and there was all the other things in there as well. It was from my experience that I was really particular about where the ingredients came from. Could they scale? I was thinking big from the start. And then, I just went out and tasted it with some really, trusted palates of Melbourne. They ordered on the spot. And I was like, they're like, "Can we get this for like next weekend?" And I'm like, yeah, no worries. Had no bottles, had nothing, and just
So what I'm trying to understand is you we'll get onto this kind of rebirth renaissance with the ayahuasca and Colombia. I've just been in Colombia. I'd love to, and I've got a few stories about that. But so you've made this liquid in your home. You've moved
in kitchen, yes.
In kitchen, and you've gone to the Ledbury equivalent in Australia. Is that like, how do you get that meeting? Is what I'm trying to work out. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, from being in music and nightclubs and nightlife.
What kind of music?
It's just house music and techno and, just being around and drinking and staying out late, you meet other people that stay out late and drink.
Have you heard of the Warehouse Project?
Yeah, I've been there.
Mate, that the podcast that goes live on Monday is with the founder, Sasha.
Oh, sick.
Mate, that was the fucking sickest... That was because I went to uni in Manchester.
Yeah.
And so I went to those parties all the time.
Yeah.
And it was like 10 years ago, I was thinking, we went to watch I went there for New Year's Day, was watching... it was like Joseph Capriati, Jamie Jones, all that sort of stomp music. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, if you told me 10 years ago I'm going to be interviewing this Sasha, who's he's a Donny and he's done all this sick stuff for Manchester. So yeah, that was the interview. So I actually went there. I was on that trip to Clove Club. I got here, we went to Clove Club. I went to Printworks actually straight away to see Marcel Detman, and then we went to Clove Club the next night. And I went to Paris, and I came back, and then I went to the Warehouse Project for a night. Which one did you go to? Was it Crazy P, Laurent Garnier, Dennis Salter? Yes, that Crazy P. So it was 2017. It was sick. Yeah. Do you know where it was? 2017. The sweat literally dripping off the top of the tunnels. Was it underneath the Store Street? Was it Store? Because they had 3 different venues. But if it's the one, it was underneath the bridge and the train tunnels. Yes, so Store Street. So he's got the sickest story, mate. So that warehouse was about to collapse. Yeah. Because they didn't have a fire exit. Yeah. So he said to his lawyer was like, if you don't create a fire exit, by Thursday, this thing, you can't do it at Store Street. They'd sold all the tickets. So they found this geezer with a drill, and mate, I'm not even joking. This is on the podcast. It all goes live on Monday, and they fucking drilled through the night. Yeah, there was like something out of The Great Escape, mate. The Great Party, right? Yeah. And they built a tunnel through there, and it's now, as you go under that bit, as you come out of the train station, it's still there. So Sasha said to me, he goes, "Mate, when you drive out," because I was going to another podcast further up, he was like, check, you'll see where it is. I was like, mate, I drove past it. I was like, fucking hell. And the story is, because he's got a book that goes out this week called Tales from the Dance Floor. Sick. Yeah. But yeah, sorry. So going back, I'm very scatty with the way I talk. It's just the way it works. Yeah, same. I don't generally make this much sense. So yeah. I don't even know if I'm answering your questions properly. Yeah, don't worry. It's just a chat, mate. And so you've come here, gone to Clove Club, gone partying, raves. You go back to Australia, get kind of maniacally obsessed with getting the best liquid. I'm then saying, how are you getting into these restaurants? You're saying you're a DJ, so you kind of knew.
Yeah, so I knew the guys at Leonardo's Pizza Palace. In
Leonardo's
Melbourne.
Pizza Palace.
Yeah.
What a name.
Yeah, then they've got another one called Leonard's House of Love, which is a burger place.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
And they had a fine dining restaurant. Are they just closed? Or was it still going? Called Rambler. Anyway, when it closed, that's the oven I've still got. I bought off them for 10 grand cash. We've still got it, still working. The guys just had to roast 2.5 tons of pears in the last 2 weeks in a 12-tray combi oven. Yeah, glad I don't have to do that anymore. Anyway, so do that, and then there was a guy there named Dave Kerr as well. He owned a bar called the Beaufort, which was a cool bar in town at that point in time. Funnily enough, Brody from Top Cuvée used to work there.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
So we're talking about Dave at dinner on Wednesday night. Anyway, so he was there, and then Nick, who's head of beverage, liquid lord of the business, was there as well, and he just left probably one of the best cocktail bars in the city called Eau de Vie, and he was working at Leonardo's. And everyone's like, "Oh, this is good." Nick's like, "Oh, this is fucking shit." But anyway, but it was too salty. It was off. And then a guy was like, "Man, go show this to Chase down at Oh My." So Oh My would be, if it was a like, it would. How would you describe it? It's like a fat duck. It's just out of town, like just on the border of the country. Not as country as some of the other places like Bray. Anyway, Chase is like just a dead set legend. You know, he won Sommelier of the Year last year, and he was just like, "Dude, these are sick." And then he told me, he was like, "Man, I hate making these things. These are so hard to make. They're a pain in the ass. We don't have any way of like. Sometimes they're throwing some of it out. They just take hours and hours." He's like, "How many you got in the car? We're in for service tonight."
So we're at the time where these high end restaurants having to make non-alc wine themselves.
Well, they'll make a kombucha or a shrub.
Okay, with you.
That's what the Lebre's doing, and we got three on it. The Fat Duck. They want more because they're good, and which is great. But so they don't have to make the other ones because it is laborious. And like I was talking to the R&D chef last night at Cole, and he was talking about a kombucha. He's like, the first one we made was amazing, and then he's like, the second one is just like disgusting. I'm like, it's really hard to make good kombucha. So even that is
so
really
is yours
difficult.
more like a kombucha? The process more?
No. So
how's yours different from a kombucha?
So kombucha's got a SCOBY.
Yeah.
And it's got the booch tang.
The booch tang, boy.
The booch tang. Which I absolutely hate. I hate kombucha. It's disgusting, I reckon. Because it all just tastes like the one thing. It's not dynamic for me. You can dress mutton up as lamb and say there's other stuff in there, but at the end of the day, you still got that big, hectic booch underneath, right? So what we do is verjus. The base is verjus. So verjus is at the moment our vintage is Chenin and Sav grapes, and they process that, but they pick it a month earlier, so they're really green, so they're less juicy because they're not ripe because the sugars haven't developed. So they don't go as far as wine grapes would, and then they keep it cold so it doesn't ferment. So we use that as our acid component. We have salt in there, or a salt component, because when we started it, it wasn't like we knew that this was the pillars, but it turned, once I hired someone that had worked in drinks and actually got someone in the business that knew what they were doing, they were like, what do we do? Like, well, what do we exist for? And I was just like, there's fruit, tannin, salt, and acid in all the drinks. And that's why they work, but they're in a really interesting way.
Right.
So number one is salted raspberry and chamomile. So that's what we use, freeze-dried raspberries. So you need to concentrate the flavour, but you need so much flavour when you're using real produce that you can't possibly use it in its raw state because you can't get the mass that you need into the flavour. So then that's cold steeped in water for 48 hours. And then the chamomile tea, so again, back to that temperature, cooking flavour out, all those sorts of things that alcohol removed products have the risk of being exposed to. We go at 65 degrees and we slow cook the chamomile for about 2 hours, and that pulls tannin out for us. Mm-hmm. So out of the teas. And that structure will it coexist in all of the drinks in a very, very, very different way. And what we've also realised is that we've made drinks. We've probably got 20 odd that we've never released and never will. And Nick's walked in. He's like, "Man, hey, check this thing out." And I'm just like, "Man, it's too good. You beat people in the blind test." I was like, "That's not what we do. Throw it out." Like, put that recipe in the bin, because I'm not trying to enter that occasion. I'm not trying to mock or mimic something. And when our last one, Non-8, was the one where we got a little bit lost in the R&D process. I think it was like about 160 recipes by the time we got there. And ginger was the hardest part of that one. But that's when I'd been working in this business for 4 or 5 years. Well, our 5th birthday was a couple of weeks ago. But I realised what Non is. It has a really unique and unexpected finish. And I've been doing this for years. I didn't actually even realise that. And doing those cooking techniques and all those processes it's just really important for us that you can taste everything that's on the front of the label. And when you flip it around the back, all it is just exactly the same ingredients. So it doesn't say natural flavour extract. It doesn't change at the back once you get there. And then all the acids, citric acid, it's all clean, natural products that are doing everything in tune, in balance. And what's really technical about what we do as a product is that if you make a bolognese or a curry, it's not like you can individually taste the carrot and the celery that kick the whole thing off and so important, right? Like, sometimes I'm standing there and I'm making a mise en place and I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing this? Like, what does this actually do? Like,
what's the mise en place?
That's when you do, I probably said it wrong, but that's onion, celery, and carrot. There's the base of all these things.
There's always a wanky French term for all these things. It's like, mate, it's a fucking carrot.
Yes. Well, those things together, frying it off and getting
it's like the base of like lasagna, spag bowl. Yeah.
So many things. So, and then spag bowl becomes a sum of its parts, or a curry does as well, right? So, that's not what we're trying to do. We want to keep everything.
Taste each individual thing. Okay, so you've created this insane liquid that these Michelin star bars and restaurants can't create.
Well, the place that are spoilt for choice and staff have the manpower to do it,
but most don't. So that's the problem you're solving.
It's the casual place.
Yes. So what I'm trying to understand is, so you've gone to this. You've got the links from the party and the DJ, which we'll go back to. You get this kind of the call up. What's that noise? Oh, I think that's. I'm hearing it through this, so it's like fucking loud. I was like, "Whoa, there's something coming into the room here, boy."
Who is this guy?
I've had it before.
MI6 is kicking in the windows.
Sometimes I'm on Zoom doing these, and I'm like just on emails, and the sort of guy or girl comes on, they're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Whoa."
It's funny on Zoom. There's a politeness. There's some people I Zoom and they type really loud. It's like,
oh mate, yeah.
And then, I don't think anyone pulls them up. It's like there's something stuck in your teeth. Someone needs to start doing the Zoom. Like, hey, it's
probably like, I'm taking the fucking minutes. They're being very belligerent about taking the minutes. It's like, you're going to hear this.
Gotta go. Oh, they're fucking idiots.
Yeah. So not saying that not all some restaurants have the manpower to do it. You've come in with this delicious, totally unique liquid. What I'm trying to understand is how you get the revenue into the business to start thinking, right, this isn't just Aaron's crazy idea. This is, we're going to build the next thing. Like, what are those kind of steps?
So it was bootstrapped by me for ages. So at that point in time, I had 6 barbershops that were doing well. So I had revenue coming in that I could live and then push it through. And it was 2019, so it was only 9 months into the business when COVID hit. So I just signed the distribution deal with the Australian guys. And they're like, oh. A bit closer, I just signed the distribution deal with the Australian guys. And they're like, oh, shit. And everyone's like, oh, shit, obviously, when it first happened. And I was like, well, suck eggs, you got to take it. Sounds like a whole lot of your problems, champion. I know the Japanese guy was already messaging me, and he wanted his own label. He wanted you need to have a nutritional panel, but the Japanese just design, so he didn't want a sticker over the top. So anyway, I was like, what am I going to do with the rest of this stock? Like, oh shit, what's happening? And then I just printed a sticker off, and I just got the light right, and I photoed it really well. And I'm like, hey, how's this look like a sticker? And he's like, oh, that's fine, I'll take it. I was like, oh shit, all right, sweet, I got rid of the stock. And then that sold out before I got there. And then Singapore sold out before I got there. And I was only 2 people at that point in time. But actually the government funding of COVID actually was really helpful because businesses got injections of cash. There was JobKeeper, I think it was called, and it was like $750 a week. So we didn't have any salary costs as well. So it was actually perfect timing to start a business because of the government funding they were giving out for businesses. And we could operate fully because we were technically we're a food business. So we're providing a service. So it wasn't really anything. And then you just had your baseline. So you didn't know how it was doing. So in terms of that, and then it got to the point where I was just like, everyone, I met some people. My neighbor downstairs was like, oh man, I hope you get some money, come from investment banking, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, sweet. And then he taught me a lot of things, and I put decks together and met people, and they're like, nah, it's too small. It's like, at that point, I think it was like 100 grand turnover or something like that. And then it's like, fuck off, like, get out of here, Tell me when it's at 10 million. I'm like, I can't make a $10 million business. Anyway, so I was like, I ended up ringing my mate, who's my co-founder, business partner. He runs a US business. He lives in LA. He's an Australian guy. He made a lot of money off a track, a song that came out.
What track?
Do you remember? It was a big EDM track called "In My Mind" by an Axwell do remix of it. You'll know it's been on TV. Yeah, trust me.
It was in my mind.
Yes.
I'm not. That's a fucking tune, mate. That's like the.
Yeah. So that's Josh, my business partner.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. Sometimes I'm in the gym and I'm like trying to go for it on the running machine. Yeah. I'm just like, let's fucking have it. I put that bad boy on, and it's like.
Yeah.
Gear 7.
Yeah. All right. We'll send him this soundbite, then this one we'll keep in. And I was like, oh. Fucking give me 100 grand. He's like, yeah, I've always wanted to do something with you. Like, we've been best mates for 20 years. And that happened. And then I was constantly trying to raise money, and then I had another deal on the table at the end of 2021. It wasn't a very good deal. But when sometimes a deal and some money is better than no money.
Why wasn't it a good deal?
It wasn't enough money. It wasn't genuine growth capital. Which means that I have to raise again, and raising sucks. It's really hard. It takes all your time and attention. And then they had this weird thing in the contract that my lawyer said they'd never seen before, where I had to give all my shares to them, and they would vest back to me, basically make sure I stayed in the business. I was like, fuck off, you're not taking my shares.
Basically like prostituting your own brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fuck.
Where am I going, dude? I'm a loser ex-DJ who's never had a job. Right? I'm got a skill set that's worth any money to anyone. So anyway, I asked advice from a friend of mine, and then afterwards they're like, send me the deck. And I was like, oh no, I don't need this. My daughter was just about to be born as well, and like I was freaking out, This is all happening, and then I end up putting around together in the next couple of months after that, and getting funded, and we sold off equity in the first round, and then we have a follow-on system, so there's no dilution. The funds, like, hey, hit these milestones, you can draw down it a little bit more.
North Star, get listed, say listed, and grow. Do you actually know your shopper? If you don't know your shopper, you're literally pissing and spunking money up the wall. Knowing your shopper is the secret weapon to unlock more grocery listings and more stores. But not knowing your shopper is literally like driving in the dark, hungover, without a sat-nav, in a thunderstorm, in February with 5 miles of petrol in the tank. But knowing your shopper is like having a sat-nav. A full tank of petrol is a glorious sunny day. You're listening to the Sugar Babes and you've got a fresh, hot pumpkin spice latte by your side. North Star Illuminator is the shopper map to the promised land of growth and success. It does 3 wonderful things for your brand. 1, make your marketing budget sweat. When you've got lucid, crystal clarity on exactly where each precious penny is going, you know how to drive loyalty with existing customers or even bring new shoppers into your brand. Numero 2, what's actually driving performance? Do you actually know why your sales are going up and down? You need to know, like, are you bringing new shoppers into the category? Is that driving growth? Are loyal customers buying more of your brand? Are shoppers switching in and out of your brand versus other brands? I mean, Perfect Head's a glorious example. They are bringing new shoppers into sports and energy. They are so incremental versus, say, chocolate bars, where people just switch in and out of brands all the time. The more you know this, the more oomph you've got with your buyer when you go to do a marketing plan, a joint business plan with retailers. The buyers want to know how incremental you are to the category. That is your passport to success. North Star is your passport. And what you can do is you can literally see it by channel, by retailer, get so specific. If you're looking to go to the next level, honestly, get in touch with North Star and go to the promised land.
Delighted to announce the extension of our partnership with the wonderful Billy and Paul from Mackenzie Jones, but even more exciting, they have just launched a brand new brand as part of Mackenzie Jones called MKJ Ignite. MKJ Ignite is a recruitment firm which specializes full shebang, focus entirely on challenge brand space. They work with some incredible brands, Lucky Saint, Good Rays, Purdy and Fig, Hunter and Gather, and Real Superfoods. They can support with your hiring needs across all levels, top to bottom, junior entry-level jobs, all the way through up to MD and CEO level. So if you're looking for a field sales stomper, a sales wizard, an ops guru, a supply chain sensei, you name it, MKJ Ignite can help you out. And look, if you're looking to wet your whistle, ignite your curiosity, then check out the poddy we recorded with them back in July. Laden with wisdom, all about like do's and don'ts of hiring and like how to create the perfect job description. You will love it. But all that sounds very, and I've got my mates local who have just been through a fundraise, and it's one of those things where you think it's going to be done in 3 months, and I'm just like, it's just that is eating your own blood or drinking your own blood, going for a fundraise. Going for a fundraise for alcohol-free wine, like you made that sound quite easy. Like, what did you actually put in the decks? Like, how did you paint the vision? Because I think
they're from drinks. They knew the category data and stuff. It was, honestly, if I look back at some of the old decks, and I still have them, I'm just like, holy shit, they were bad, you know, compared to what I can pump out now and being able to hire smarter people and learn from them. I don't believe in hiring anyone that is less than you. Like, you selfishly, if you've got some cash, you may as well try to hire the best people and like get an education yourself, you know. So they were really shitty, but most I see now the qualities of probably, I don't want to sound like a fucking idiot or a wanker, but like the qualities of what makes it successful founders. And, you know, it's got that grit, there's the grit component, you know. Have you got half a brain? Do you understand sales? Can you use a spreadsheet good enough? Do you know the different, like some of the stuff in the P&L? You know, you don't need to be an expert in it, but you need to know all the bits and the workings of the business.
The grit component, yeah. The
grit component, yeah. And I learned that from Kate. So Kate, my CMO, is she was the head of marketing for C-Lip in the US. She's like, yeah, Ben loves this book called Grit, and then I read that. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. And then it was just the other day. I didn't finish it. I listened to like maybe the first 15 minutes before I like got distracted driving home. But Mark Cuban in the Lex Fridman podcast, he was just on like a couple of weeks ago. The first thing he talks about is that exact thing. So I'm not. Now it sounds like I'm kind of like ripping him off on what he said, but like that's actually now that it's looped with me, and I actually understand. Like,
so what did he say in that podcast about grit?
Just about grit. Can you sell something? You know, do you know enough to get the job done here? That's what will get you backed, because the product could be the product, right? And I have an amazing liquid, so that bit's fine. There's plenty of people that have really good products. You'll talk to them. They're like, yeah, I want to get this thing done in 2 years, and then just fucking sail off into the sunset.
Yeah.
No one's backing that shit. No one's getting around it.
There's a Ben. There's a guy I've had on the podcast called David Hyatt. I don't know if you've heard of David Hyatt. Yeah, Gene's business.
Yes.
Ben really likes him. He's was a dream guest, and he came on. But he told me something that like, I may as well get fucking tattooed on my arse, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's like maybe not actually a bit dodgy, but he was like, your hope needs grit.
Yes.
And like when I'm going,
that's exactly it.
Your hope needs grit, and it's like you can have the vision at the top. You need that grit. When you said like you almost talked about grit as a full circle. So you said like, can you sell something? Have you got the have you got the cojones when things get tough? Where did you have to level up your grit over the last 5 years? What were the points when you thought? What was the point when you just thought I can't be fucked anymore, and you had to really dig in?
It was probably the first bit of the grit was probably just getting focused and in the brand guidelines and not.
What do you mean by that?
It's just like not going, oh, that's a shiny little thing over there, and grabbing that and going and grabbing that, and just being like really fast and loose with it, and actually building a brand and not confusing consumers and all that sort of thing. So that bit of the grit for me was not like it was hard for me because I had to pull myself in. So you start to, all the things that made it work in the first place, as you get bigger and scale, you have to pull those things in because you can't do them because you start to speak to more customers and get bigger and wider. And then once you start doing that, then you have to be very clear about what you do and the problem that you solve and all those sorts of things. When you're starting and
loosey-goosey.
You're at 100K, it's just fast and loose. You're like, fuck it, whatever, this feels good, let's do it,
Yes.
You can't do that anymore.
So that required grit, because that to me sounds like it doesn't require grit. Like,
for me, it did because I really struggle with it because you're trying to run so hard and so fast forward, and then there's just this thing here pulling you back, like that's been a bit for me that's been really gritty, and then obviously running out of money as well. That bit was really hard.
When did you run out of money?
Oh, well, I ran out of money before we raised, It was like a couple of weeks before I drained our entire savings account. My missus checked it. She was like, hey, where's all the money gone?
We're going warehouse, babe.
And I was just like, I'm glad you noticed now because there's more coming in a couple of weeks. That was the grit as well, just with like the bootstrapping and the finance, I think.
So tell me, that you look at your savings account and you're at zero.
Yeah.
You look at yourself in the mirror. What's the feeling in here, in your soul?
Oh, you feel
and what do you say to yourself here just to fucking keep going?
Yeah, that's it. That's the grit, right? You're like you'll pull this off. You'll pull it off. You've got it. You've got the best restaurants in the country. You're in Japan. You're in Singapore. You can do it. It's going to happen. And then you just got to figure it out and just keep going and work hard and long and not sleep and, I'll be the last person that says on a podcast that, I've got that 4 a.m. routine and I do this and I do that. That's not true. I wake up, I drink far too much coffee. I'll have a banh mi for lunch and maybe a dim sim and, get home and cook a decent dinner and hang out with my daughter, and she stays awake later than me and I'm in bed by 7 o'clock and up at 5, but that's my day. Like, it's not, and that's the grit as well, because like you're not actually, well, I think it feels like grit, but it's lifestyle, but also it's a bit of grit because like you got a grit for the energy and you're so in it, like pushing so hard because of your grit that you forget to eat. And coffee works really well because it suppresses your hunger, obviously.
I love coffee so much, mate. I was like feeling like an anxious freak on the train. I was like, I feel like I'm being plugged into National Grid, boy. But I love that, and I think it's so true. And what were the steps you took when you've got zero money in the bank? How did you get the money back in? Like, what were you just calling people? What were you doing?
Was selling stuff. Our main distributor, we had really good terms with, so distributors like 60 days or 9 days or whatever, but they had a financing option, which has pretty much been the savior of the business really at the start, because it was very low interest. You know, you're not going to get any money from a bank. So we sold stock, got paid for it. We sold stock, got paid for it. So that kept it going and growing the business. And being able to sit across everything and set up a business before meant that I didn't need to spend a whole heap of money on anyone in marketing, because I could do it all. I didn't need to spend any money on bookkeepers and accountants, because I could do it all on Xero myself. I didn't need to spend anything on sales because, well, selling, right? So, you know, that's just getting out there and having a car. And I had a car. And then there's, you know, servicing orders and running Shopify, and I'd build a Shopify store. And the thing I couldn't do, the technicality, was the design and take a good photo. So that it was kind of low cost in many ways, because I could do most of the stuff that the business needed at that point in time. Now the stuff that sits in the back of Shopify and stuff, like, I couldn't even tell you what it is, you know, and I'm not interested in learning it, but because there's no point.
We said before we hit record, you said I only get on with the crazies.
Yep.
Likewise, that's half the reason I've got this podcast. I think I've got a kind of a heavy dosage of crazy in me in some respects.
Yes.
I think that it's interesting. How would you say you're crazy?
When Ben Branson told me he has autism and ADHD, I was like, fuck, I'm so similar to you. So I went and got tested for it. And then I got to the psychologist, and he was like, well, she's definitely got ADHD. You know, he goes, I'm like, yeah, if I had to guess, you know, I reckon I'm probably 80% ADHD, 20% autism, you know, saying there's a bit of a blend in here. And I was really struggling with the team getting to the size it was, and people coming to me. Well, they come to me for like something emotional, and I felt the empathy, but it was like a puff of black, metaphorically, puff of black ash would come out of my mouth, and I'm like, I look like such a prick right now. And there was also my wife, and when my daughter was born, and she was like, I need you to do more, and I'm just like, I'm clapped out, you know, like I don't get it. I couldn't literally process it whatsoever. So then I got tested for it, and I'm like, oh, that's why I'm weird and crazy and have these like insane ideas and push boundaries further and think that everything's going to be okay, and just get attracted to people that are somewhat insane as well, in many ways. You know, I went around to my friend's house before an Idols concert, who's someone I really like, and I like him just because he's so interesting, and he was having mushroom powder and AG1 before the concert. And I was like, that's why I like you. You're like, fucking, I don't know anyone that will put that combination together.
Yeah. AG1's athletic greens, isn't it? Yeah. Fair play.
With magic mushroom powder. It's like mixing them together before a concert. And I'm like, okay. Yeah,
that's what you want to do. What you said there about the autism affecting the leadership, and because I think Ben got tested. I need to, like, I did a podcast with him about it. It hasn't gone live yet, but I think he got tested in between Seedlip and season.
Yes,
I think he did. So he wasn't running a full team. You said you were dealing with the pressure of the team getting bigger. They were coming to you, and what you said about I felt the empathy, but a kind of a black ash would come out my mouth. How was from the leadership perspective? Like, talk to me a bit more about that, because it feels like that was a really challenging period.
It was actually a big unlock, because I just was transparent with everyone and told them.
Right.
You know, the people that work closer to me, those guys who are in the senior positions, obviously, they're like, oh, I could have told you that for free. I'm just like, oh, thanks, guys. But there people with it, like Ben as well. There's almost something to be said about the magnetism of it too, as well, and just the way that people think, and they're just like, I don't know how you think like this. So it's really intriguing, and that actually helps a lot for the team too, because you're that wild and crazy, and like, yeah, let's go for this. And everyone's like, you're fucking stupid and insane, but sure. Or, you know, the team will go, I'm like, we're going to do this, this, and this. And everyone's like, what? And then you put them together, and they're like, oh, that works so well. Would never have gone and seen those three things and
Is there an example
put
of
them
that?
together. It was just these like aluminium plinths in the showroom is one of them.
What's a plinth?
Like just a thing that stands up, so a display thing, an aluminium plinth, and all these and these other bits, and that are in there. It's very minimal. And Kate was like, "Why the fuck are we buying these things? Don't worry about it." And it's like, oh shit, I didn't see it. Yeah, this works so well. This is like so on brand, because the brand's just what's in my head and all the stuff that I like and see. That's all it is. So back to the team and the management. Anyway, it was a big unlock, because I've just hired the help, like somewhat my replacement of people and team. Now, and it's been the transition period over the last 3 months. Because Ben just started. Not Ben Branson, started in January. So he is taking a huge load off my plate, and managing the team. And you know, I don't have that experience to develop them, so they're all. I wouldn't say they were getting to the upper limit of their development within their career, but there was.
How big is the team now, of course?
We got 21 or 22. I don't know. I always just count the general channel on Slack to see how many people it says, and -1 because one's the boardroom for sending Zoom links to. So that's how we do it. So it's just been that. It's just like any HR thing. Don't come to me, go to them. You know. It just helped manage expectations. Also helped me a lot with I didn't do it this time, but generally I would avoid everyone for a week beforehand, because I'm going to be so drained from all the conversations and all the talking on a week like today. Not today, this week. So that for me has been really good and balanced. And then it's been somewhat challenging at home at times, because it's like, it felt like when I first got it, I was like, well, we got diagnosed. I was like, oh, all the stuff I thought I could fix, that's actually just who I am.
What was the stuff you thought you could fix?
Well, I went there, I was just like, well, you know, I'm either just a dick or I've got a blockage somewhere because of the black ash thing, right? And that I was talking about before. And now that's just how my brain is, and that's how I think, and that's how I see the world. And then I was like, oh, all these press dinners and stuff that I have to do is just going to be hell, you know, because I have to do them, right? No offense to anyone that came last night. But it was like, there's 20 people, it's a lot of things coming at me. And, you know, it's exhausting. It's really hard for 2 or 3 hours. And I think it's exhausting for most people anyway, to do that.
Course, yeah.
But to be autistic and like have that coming at you as well is really, really hard. And then also you layer in the ADHD, and you know, you want these people to like you. Like, you are your brand, right? You are your product. So you got to concentrate really hard on what they're saying. So I've always compared it to being, you know, when you go for a long drive, it's like, let's say there was a 5-hour drive, 7-hour drive, and you just that feeling when you're just like absolutely fucked when you get out of the car, because you've been concentrating. And you haven't really been concentrating. You've really been concentrating because you've been driving. That's how it feels after about 2 or 3 hours of people for me, and that drain's like super serious. But the grit is where you push through. You just go again, and you go again, and you go again, and that's what I've been doing. As I said to you earlier, like 6 a.m. to midnight. I'm like, I'm here.
Let's have it.
I'm responsible for 21 people in the team getting fed, putting dinner on their tables, some might be the only income owners, but or they that salary looks after the mortgage. You know, they've got kids. You know, so it's a huge responsibility that I think about, plus my own family, of course, to make sure that I'm here and like I'm moving the dial for everyone. You know, because they're all trying to move the dial for me. So it has to be fair and equal.
Oh my god, I am so excited. It feels like Hungary is finally swimming in the big leagues. I can't believe this, it's absolutely mental. But delighted to announce that Big Fish, yes, Big Fish, are part of the podcast. Perry's been on the podcast 3 times. Listeners absolutely love it. Some of our most downloaded and cherished episodes of all time. But Big Fish are behind literally so many brands in your cupboard, in your weekly shop. Charlie Bigham, Year Valley, Tyrrell's, Clipper Tea, Goo, Rana. I mean, mate, the list is longer than the River Nile. But they also share risk and invest in brands that they really believe are a force for good. They're brands that they believe are going to be the next big thing, like Howder, the snack that gives back. But even more exciting news, Big Fish want to speak to the next wave of small challenger food and drink brands that are destined for big things, the raconteurs, the movers, shakers, buccaneering visionaries. So look, if you want to speak to Big Fish and just have a chat, get your brand in front of them, then drop me a message. My mate Louis from Local Beer, Amazing Beer, was in their office, aka La Fish Bowl, last week chatting to Perry, Freddie and the Big Fish crew. So drop me a message if you would like to speak to them. Bohemi, our beloved sponsor, are helping build the fastest growing challenger food and drink brands. Look, if you're a small brand just starting out and you need your first indie stockist, your first 100 stockists to wholesale, Bohemi are the platform to categorically speed that up. But if you're a big brand wanting to get bigger, Bohemi are also insane. They make field sales marble smooth, silky slick. They're just epic. Ollie's been on this podcast twice actually. They saw a 29% uplift in sales when using Bohemi to check major malt listings availability. Insane. 29% uplift by downloading an app. Insane. Lucky Saint, my boy Aaron Duff, who's coming on this podcast in a couple of weeks, he uses it to manage a team of 30 people, and they've, Lucky Saint, have unlocked 500 draft listings by using Bohemi. Look, you've got to get involved with this stuff. It's absolutely insane, and it will categorically change your life. It's just the sickest platform. I use it all the time at Islands. We're going to get onto this because I think out of and for people listening, and I suppose if you're watching it on YouTube, it's this beautiful cap. Was it a cap or a top? Stopper.
Closure.
So something you
decided the name yet.
Yeah, something you'd put on top of.
Slides on. Yeah.
Slides on. This looks like a lot of work. Tell me why you've made this. I think you said on LinkedIn it's 18 months in the making. Mm-hmm. This seems like, after everything we've talked about, like the 1 + 1 = 3 of your ideas for your brain. To a lot of people, that would look like an unnecessary cost. Go and build the brand, get it into more places. Why have you done this? What's in your brain, mate?
So most of the stuff on
show it to people if they're watching on YouTube.
Most of the stuff that most brands would do, I wouldn't do a lot of what other brands do. You know, you're creating waste by getting something from Alibaba that anyone else can get and print your logo on it, right? That's not special. We make a really special drink. We really care about what we do, and we want to innovate. So we want to innovate outside of the bottle. And you know, I like things that are aesthetically pleasing, and they're all fucking ugly. So the Le Creuset ones has been what we've been using for the whole time, and that seal is really good. Le Creuset were nice enough to give me a wholesale account, but the wholesale account's not that cheap, as you can imagine, Le Creuset is. So I went to an industrial designer. They're called Vert. They're based out of Sydney. I've actually seen them in one place here. It's called Holy Shot on Bethnal Green Road. Where I've been going for coffee every morning, but they've got Husky cups in there. I don't know if they're in a lot of places here, but they created that. They've just created like they're amazing industrial designers. They made like the perfect glass for like having a cigar. It had like a hook underneath us, having a cigar and a whiskey.
Sick.
They made the perfect plate for So the ice would sit here, but it would be the coldness would be perfectly dispersed around the oyster. It's like, feels unnecessary, but that attention to detail is what it is. So anyway, they've sent through 6 designs, and they said there'll be challenges with some things. So if you had the mechanical lever, the springs in there, there's a lot of stuff that happens inside the housing of it. And I was like, I've got enough problems. I don't need that stuff going on as well. Turns out this is actually way harder because, no one had done it before, where you don't have that mechanical lever and something pop in, or you just put a bung in and pump out or whatever it is, right? So no one had just had someone that slides on. So that has to be 0.02 millimeters perfect, and you would change. So just so you can see it here. So this would scratch the glass, so you change that, but then this would not seal.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, well, we've got the metal bit right, but then the alloy needed to be stainless steel, so it was food grade, but then it needed to have a little bit of flex in it as well, so it needed a bit of aluminium in there too, or whatever it was, and spring steel. So then that needed to have the exact amount, perfect amount of flex, so it might be, I don't know what the ratio is, but let's just say it's like 92% stainless steel, and then 3% this and 3% that, to give it that perfect amount of ratio. So then you got this bit, then you got that bit solved, and then you're like, well, hang on, what about the rubber bung? And then that, was, points, just the tiniest bit, like, hairline sort of stuff, and that was the seal, and then that was getting it perfect. I'm like, look, this thing, I'm making this because it has to keep the product the best, and this has to be the best opera in the world because we have the best non-alcoholic drink in the world. So, and funnily enough, now I've had it, I'm like, yeah, now you can put non on your dom, So,
and that will just go on the top of the.
It just slides on top. So,
but also at a bar, though, I've never seen anything like that. So, but it's that minimum. You talk about the aluminium plinths.
Yes.
It's that touch point that when you're at a bar, I think C-Lip did it well just because the logo was just so distinctive. But that on a bar is just going to look so beautiful.
Yeah, that people might want that, not the drink. It's innovating out of the bottle. It's making your brand relevant to people's lives, and you're like, where'd you get that stopper from? You want to stop people.
Yeah. So I mean, the irony is, it's like, stopping people in their tracks. This stopper stops people in their tracks. It's that whole purple cow thing of like, what can you do differently? But also, I think this makes it. You have the semiotics of the wine, i.e. in a bottle. What we're talking about at the beginning. Like, you're not a replacement wine. You've got the semiotics of non in a wine bottle. But this on fucking top makes it look like, okay, this isn't a wine replacement. This is a whole new thing.
Yeah.
And I think everything we've talked about is kind of beautifully illustrated in this topper. It looks different. I haven't seen anything like it before. It's beautifully simple.
Yes.
Like, it's almost so simple it's perfect. If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you've cut away so much stuff.
Yeah, it's just about cutting away the noise, which is kind of funny because my brain is just like so always going, like, with lots of noise and everything. And I think that's why I want to look at something and it's just minimal, because it's easier to understand, and everything. All the detail sits somewhere else.
That's crazy how, like, there's so much going on in your head, but then it's just when you see that, it's so simple. I love that juxtaposition.
Yeah.
What would you say if Non was a song? What would it be if the brand was a song?
Good question. I've never been asked that. If it was a song, let me come back to you because I got a few in my head, but I don't even have one that's really jumping out at me at the moment.
We'll come back.
We'll come back to that.
If Non was a hotel, what would that look like? Where would that be? Describe that.
It'd be like some sort of like lunar looking capsule thing that's potentially underwater, or some sort of like, I don't know if you've seen some of the designs for this the neon cities that they're building in Saudi Arabia, but
When you say what, like, so sort of spaceshipy vibes.
Spaceshipy vibes, yeah. So I don't know if that hotel exists yet, or if it does, I haven't seen it.
Let's come a bit closer.
I think the Audemars Piguet hotel that they've got somewhere, I think that's pretty close to what it would look like, if I'm remembering correctly.
Where's that?
I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
Where would it be?
Audemars Piguet, I don't know. Swiss.
No. Where would you put the non-hotel?
Oh,
like,
where would I put it?
Yeah, because you've got so many countries you could be in. Like,
yeah, it'd probably be like somewhere that'd be like really difficult to get to and worth it once you get there. Carved in the side of a mountain, but you got to climb it yourself with your suitcases. It'd be something like that, just to fuck with people.
Yeah. What I think the song piece is also quite. I think Lex asked it to Jeff Bezos. I think so. Maybe I've just fucking interpreted it differently. But I think there was a question he asked about a song describing the way people's brain thinks. And I think with everything we've talked, see, I'm clicking there's the sounds. But I think I'm trying to think of a song that would represent the way my brain thinks. But it'd probably be something fast paced, like probably some Marco Carola sort of techno thing, just a ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
What song would kind of best paint the tapestry of the way your mind operates? So I think this is really interesting.
It'll be something that just kind of like chugs along, and there's like just something really like interesting, just like blip happens. So that's from the old techno world where it's just like and then something bang happens, and then it goes again. It's kind of.
And is that like an idea popping into your brain?
Yes, exactly. So in my head right now, and I fell in love with it. The song when I first heard it out. So do you know who Moderat is?
No.
Okay, so Moderat's got a track called Bad Kingdom, which is amazing. There's a DJ Co's remix of it, and there's a Marcel Detman remix of it. And they're both very different. They're both really good. And the Marcel Detman remix is probably the one that I think with my brain, it's like boop, and then this like lyric comes in, and it's like this real bit of calm, and then it just goes fucking bang, and it just like goes off again.
But do you know Inspector North, that Inspector North song?
Yeah.
That's my brain.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
it's like when Homer Simpson's in court. It's like, I know what you're thinking, boy. It's like meow 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 meow.
Yeah, but I think it is an illustrative way to see how people's brains work, especially in everything we've talked about. And what's crazy is you're talking about that song of the, kind of the chugger, as you said, the do.
Yeah.
And that kind of paints the picture of the way your brain operates. But then you see this, and the sound of this cap or topper, almost looks like almost kind of like beautiful white noise. It's the beautiful. Do you know what I mean? It kind of illustrates that.
It's like Enya, Sail Away.
Yeah. It's something
like chilling out to a bit of Enya. No, it's not like that at all.
Oh, that's jokes. And I want to go to you're talking about you went to Colombia to do ayahuasca. I've like heard on Joe Rogan, I've heard on Lex that people go there and it's like, we'll do it, and it's one of the most transformative awakening experiences of their life. What was the why here in your soul that made you think, right, I need to go on this journey into Colombia, into ayahuasca, and like what did that feel like?
Without getting into it, there's like childhood trauma and all those sorts of bits and pieces that existed, and family shit that everyone's got a version of in some way, shape or form. And there's that, and then there's, I love house music and I love DJing, but I wasn't only there for that. I was in there because I was an addict too, and I was like partying a lot and long, and I had to go and just flush it out, and I was on the antidepressants, and I kind of lost my shit for a couple of years there from about 26. I kind of lost my shit there for a couple of years from like 26 to 28, was it 25 to 28? It was around then. I broke up with an ex-girlfriend, and that was it. That was when it clicked, and then all the other shit came up, and it was just all full on, and went and saw a doctor, and I was on SSRIs, and then it was so bad I was on like antipsychotics as well, and I just never really like was able to pull it back. When the gasket popped, I wasn't able to pull it back, and I was just like,
When you say put it back, like as you weren't able to stop part, you were constantly.
no, I wasn't able to like undo the gasket being popped. You know, you can band-aid, you're able to band-aid as you got younger, but the brain eventually gave way, and then that was the new normal that existed. So I was like, well, I need to try something radical here.
So when you said the new normal existed, was your day-to-day, were you just feeling very depressed?
Yeah, just shit. Yeah, it's just awful as hell, you know. So
I've had periods of that, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yes.
Like, I just used to party a lot. This podcast kind of pulled me out of that period.
Okay,
I was
great.
like, I now can go through periods where I just don't drink. Do you know what I mean? But I think part of it, Jimmy Carr, do you know the comedian Jimmy Carr?
Yep.
Joker, obviously, he's a comedian. Makes sense.
That's what it says on the label.
Yeah, comedian, Joker. But he says that, you know, purpose is like the biggest antidote to like addiction, or not I don't think not to addiction, but like to alcohol and etc. And as soon as he became a comedian, and he was working some dead end corporate job he hated, as soon as he became the comedian, he could actually drop the booze, and then that purpose filled that void. So so you were going around just feeling really low. Like, you said it was hell in your head.
Me and my wife had gotten together, and it was like on and off, and it was just like fucking hell, basically. She's like, let's go do Ayahuasca together.
This is what year is this?
2016, 2016, I think. And there's one of those ones, you know, those stories. So I think we were on a break at that point in time, and she came here, and she was staying at Airbnb in Berlin. This guy Doug was there, and he'd been there, you know, and it's like, okay, well, this is how it's all meant to happen and play out. She's like, we're going, you know. I was like, okay, sick, I'll go, 100%. I wanted to.
You need something to get out of that.
Well, I want to go. I want to try. I knew about it. I was like, fuck yeah. I mean, I'm in. You know, like I like hallucinogens, to be honest with you. So I was like, cool, sounds good. And I wasn't going there for a party. And then it was a 7-day retreat. First night was funny it's come up because I spoke about it last night with a guy who's done it, who came to the dinner. Anyway. First night was San Pedro, which is the cactus, with mescaline, and then I think you have a night off, and then it was 2 nights in a row of ayahuasca, night off, then day 1 of it, and then San Pedro at the end. So you're copping it sweet, like you're absolutely getting hammered.
What does copping it sweet mean?
Copping it sweet is just like poor, like, you know.
What does it like? Can you describe what it feels like?
So. There is definitely a spirit that you drink by having it. You feel it come into your mouth, you drink it, and it tastes like shit. It's bad. And then you feel this thing just enter your body and start wiggling its way around. That's why they call it the vine, because it starts to move around in your body and everything. And then basically, a lot of serotonin is made by the gut. So you feel it working in the gut. So it's talking to you and just having conversations, and it's like you're talking to like your mum or your grandma, but they're actually like the person you want to talk to. They don't have all the shitty advice. So it's just like, so you're having that, and you feel it grabbing these things as you're sort of talking to it and having these bits. And then you were just like this, like you're on the floor, like you can't move. Sort of not can't move, but it's like, it makes you very heavy and still. And then it kind of like grabs you and like moves around. And then, this is my experience anyway, where like you throw up and you shit a lot. And it just, the thing that's happening, so let's just say it's, I don't know, and your ex-girlfriend broke up with you, right? Whatever it is. You're going through it, you're working through the process, and then it just goes, and you just go, oh shit, and you just like then you can get up, and then you just run outside, and then you're just launching projectile vomiting, or you just do like the best shit you've ever done, and then basically you never think about that thing again. I don't know how it works or why that happens, but it grabs it out of your gut and your memories here or something, and then you just launch it out and it's gone. Or you have an understanding of it or a new appreciation for it.
So the amount of people who've, again, I'm an avid listener of Joe Rogan. They say it's the most transformative thing to get out of depression.
Yes.
Who are you, like, if you feel comfortable going here, if you don't have to go here, mate. You're in the driving seat. But like, what were some of those painful things you were having to face in that moment as the hero of that experience?
There was just a lot of anger. So when I left, kind of got kicked out of home at 18, and then I didn't speak to my mum. My stepdad was the one I had a bad relationship with, but I didn't speak to my mum until I was 25. So I was like, brought myself up.
From how long?
From 18 to 25. I was just like, fuck you, I'm out of here. So yeah, I'm out. And you know, I think that's probably the grit and the hustle as well. It's like, I don't have anything to fall back on. I'm going for it. And it's either going to be a boom or bust. So there's a lot of that. And then my mum had me when she was really young. She had me when she was 18. So what the ayahuasca helped me understand is just like, she could have aborted me, right? So she took that sacrifice, which means that she missed out on stuff in life. So, like, she hasn't been able to come here. She hasn't been able to go to America. Like, she hasn't been able to get an education because she chose it for me, right? So it helped me understand that when the separation happened and there was an argument with my stepdad, that he got aggressive with me and basically started swinging punches. I'm like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And then mum had, my brother and sister are younger, so they're 7 and 10. I felt like she chose them. And I understand why she had to make that decision, because she needed to support them just as much as anything. And I was 18. So I could get a job. I had a license, all those sorts of things. Do I agree with it? Absolutely fucking not. But it helped me get that that's the way that she processed it, and she potentially didn't have as much life experience or life skills to be able to handle it in any other way. So that's what I learned from it. And I'm like, do I forgive you? I don't know, to be honest with you. Do I understand it? Yes.
Are you looking to turbocharge your brand, take it to another level, save money, save energy, save stress, save time? Well, I've got the perfect thing for you. I am delighted to announce that HC Brands, formerly HC Consulting, my boy Harry Clark, has just launched a commercial growth accelerator program designed specifically for challenger food and drink brands. You can upskill your commercial team. They've got so many modules. You can handpick them where you can do the full shebang. You're going to save hours of research. You're going to get the tools to turbocharge your growth, get better clarity on your brand's objectives and directions. And look, Harry's worked with some amazing brands, Holy Moly, Islands, Savile, and Rooted Drinks. He's really helped me with a strategy for Hungary. Yeah, if you're looking to turbocharge your brand, link in the show notes, and you're going to be able to do that easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Understand it. It's wild the amount of clarity that is. I'm into almost. I meditate like a lot. Considering I'm like pretty hyper, I actually meditate a lot. It's kind of, but I really believe the answer for all, like a lot of things, is within us, and it's just about finding it. And I think what you've said there about the understanding versus forgiveness, and those two things are kind of the antithesis. The antidote to kind of that anger. But then this anger from 18 to 25 is like, you know what we're talking about? You need grit. Well, fuck me, there it is, son. Like 18 to 25. So you walk out of the house.
Go to my grandma's.
Is this in Melbourne?
Just out. I grew up in my high school years in the country. So my nan lived down the road. So I went there. I was like, fuck, I'm never going back there. And
what did you do for those 7 years?
I'd literally just finished school. I just finished year 12. It was like December or January or something. So I'd got accepted into uni to do physiotherapy, and got good grades. I didn't really try that hard. I just was, kind of had that thing, it's the autism help with that. You just kind of fuck around and figure it out. It's all good. So that was okay.
So you were pretty clever at school.
Yeah, but I was always getting in trouble as well because I was bored. Because I'm like, I get this fucking boring. I'm out of here. You know, it's the stringency. That's why I couldn't work with someone as well. I have to have a business, so I couldn't do it. Went there and then started. And then I met this guy at uni. Only lasted 6 months because I was going out and having fun, and I always loved music, and they had turntables at their house. They were like some private school guys. They're like, you know, real rich kids. And just learned to mix and just loved it. And then I started getting gigs, and then I just became a DJ. I worked at a phone shop for 2 or 3 years just to like get by and pay rent and everything. And then I was like DJing on the weekends, and then eventually I was doing enough that I just went and did it full time. So I was doing like 10 or 12 gigs a weekend. So it was like, there's plenty of money around. So
fucking hell, 10 or 12 a weekend.
Yeah.
So what would you do? So what was your weekend like? No, but as not like in terms of the partying, but like as in what would you do a set from?
So you start at 10 on a Thursday and finish at 5 on a Thursday, and do that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I had the last set in Melbourne. There's a longer day party now all day in Melbourne on Mondays, but I was doing the last set in Melbourne probably for 4 or 5 years, which started at 7 a.m. on a Monday morning and went to about 9 or 10.
Yeah, fucking hell.
And I'd been there the whole night.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I woke up and went in.
Yeah. You go have your Cocoa Pops before you walk through the door. But so then what made you rekindle things with your mum?
A bit of persuasion from my missus, some ayahuasca. Yeah, it was just some of those things. It's actually a little bit how you going at the moment, as we would say in Australia, which is a bit like
how you going?
Yeah, it's just like you could say if something was like, let's say the car's a bit of a bomb, right? Like it's not a good car, it's like a shit car. You're like, oh, that car's a bit how you going, you know?
Yeah.
Or something's playing up, like not working well. You're like, it's a bit how's it, you know?
How you going, mate? Yeah. I'll be saying that when I'm next go to the meeting. How you going, mate?
Well, that's a bit how's it, you know? So anyway, relationship's a little bit torn again at the moment, but that's been a different thing from becoming a parent, and you know, she lives a long way away, and she looks after my grandma as well. But there's some weird stuff going on with my wife and her, and just family fucking shit, dude.
This is why I like doing these conversations, is because people will see they'll see this at the bars in Tokyo and LA and New York and now London, but ultimately there's a human story behind all of this.
Yes.
And I think I'm grateful.
Thank you for letting me say it.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful for you being so open, mate, because I think it will help a lot of people. Because as you know what we said, I kind of get pulled towards the crazies.
Yeah.
Is, you know, when I do these supper clubs with these founders, or just like I'm going to meet a couple of the guys from local at. Have you been to the Devonshire?
Yeah, we had lunch there yesterday.
So Oshin is the guy who owns it.
Oh, right.
He's you know, I can't pronounce his fucking name.
Yeah.
He's the guy I'm interviewing on Monday.
Sick. Tell him put it on it, please.
Yeah. I'll just walk up. But yeah, that's a sick boozer. I mean, like that isn't like what's a boozer.
Yeah.
But is I'm drawn to the people, because there is within all this kind of beauty. Is I think what a lot of founders do is they take some form of pain. Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power. He says that the bigger the shadow, the greater the creative force. And I love that. And I think every founder I meet has some kind of just something that's gone wrong, or something, but also a lot of passion. It's not just all like, oh, morbid fucking out. You know, there's a lot of passion in this. But then you create these beautiful things. And I think this is exactly what you're doing with Non. Let's talk specifically about the UK. What is the game plan? Are you trying to get into retail, like how's it going to work? How does Non become a huge brand over here?
The top 1%, depending on how you value the top 1%, is the key.
What do you mean by top 1%?
Of restaurants. of restaurants and retail. So, that can be from the Lebri to the Fat Duck to, I would say, the top cuvées.
Do you know Brett Graham?
Who?
The Lebri, the guy who does the Lebri.
No, I haven't met him. I met Jan, the sommelier, and then Matt Stone's a really important chef in Australia. He's old Sue in Australia. He's here at the Lebri Harry. So that's how I got the connection and actually a meeting with them.
Right.
So, that goes from there to the Lebri to somewhere that's got exceptional food but is a bit more casual, like Cole, and equally as important as top cuvée as well. So I call it the new hot girl at school principle. You're only the new hot girl for so long, in a little bit, everyone's like, oh, actually, yeah, so it's kind of like that. So that's how we're going to do. So that's how we'll do it, and that's what we're doing in the US. And that takes, I think, around a year. I reckon you stay there around a year to 18 months. The beauty of being well-funded, and I was talking about this last night, is that you can go a little bit slower but right. You don't have to get volume from a place that may not be as desirable as you potentially want.
How much money? I don't have to answer this, but how much money have you got behind you guys?
Enough. Also, like, it's not heaps though, I can't do everything that I want to do. And there's just, we're inexpensive. I don't think we're expensive. It costs a lot of money to make, but we will be viewed as expensive. You're always you need to at some point crack grocery being your Waitrose, etc., right? But you need to build the brand first so that
it works.
So it works, because if you go in and you go out, fuck, it's all over. If you want to exit, that is the worst thing you can do. And that's the same thing as going into a country as well. You can't go, they're going to come through and do their due diligence and go, yeah, great. Oh, sweet. Oh, well, you fucked up Vietnam. So, well, there's 300 million people there. Well, the price just went down. You don't want that to happen either.
Of course, yeah.
So, and it's expensive. It is expensive to play with those guys and operate with those guys. So if you can get as much moving organically and pulling off the shelves itself, because it's now at a point in Australia where, we're like, guys,
are you in retail in Australia?
Well, in Dan Murphy's.
Yeah, so what does because one thing I'm fascinated with is I've interviewed, there's definitely, Melbourne is very similar to, I think, kind of East London and short. I've interviewed a few, one of my friends, Mark Palmer, who did Green and Blacks, he actually lives in Melbourne now. Melbourne? What am I saying, Melbourne? I told you I can't pronounce things, mate. Melbourne. I sound like fucking C-3PO. But there's definitely a challenger brand mindset. You've got Aesop, the things, Who Gives a Crap?
Yep.
Simon, I interviewed him, he's based over there. There's definitely a challenger mindset in Melbourne. Melbourne,
whatever.
Melbourne, yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
And I would love to understand what the Australian market looks like. I know you've got, obviously here we've got kind of, as you say, the top 1%, the restaurants, you've got probably the top 1%, your Harrods, Selfridges, Harvey Nicks.
Yeah.
You've then got your grocery. How does it work? Because Mark was saying to me that it's actually probably easier for British brands to launch in Australia versus other places. One, because we have very similar banter, like the colloquialisms in between both countries.
Yes.
So paint the picture for me.
Okay, so for a British brand, I've met with a couple of people in Low and No Space founders, one being Imi from Bativo. We went out on Wednesday night, and I was with the Quarter Boys, so Fabian and shit, not on the podcast, I've forgotten the other bloke's name. Fuck. Anyway, I was with the Quarter Boys in the morning.
Cut that bit out, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you. And I was like, as a British brand, I'm like, because we're looking at the value chains here of our product, it's really good for us because it's double the Australian.
How so?
Well, what it costs because, okay, so 20 quid here is 40 Australian dollars, the retail price. Going but to Australia is half. So those guys want to ship here, and let's say, I don't want to give away anything that I know, but I theoretically say that a bottle of something in drinks is 15 quid list price, or that's what they sell to a restaurant or a Harrods to, or whatever it is, right? Without shipping, that in Australia is $30 into the distributor that's bought the stock. That's without adding any additional margin for the retailers or for the restaurants or any of that sort of stuff. So I think it's actually quite difficult, right? I don't know. I'm actually really intrigued because I want to help these guys as well get to Australia.
So they want to go to Australia.
Yeah, but I'm just like, oh man, you might. I don't know. You're gonna have to like do it at cost plus or something. Like I don't know how you're gonna figure this out. But I'm actually intrigued.
Do you know Dash Water?
Yes.
So they've actually got a manufacturer there. That's how they're making it work.
Yeah, that shit's everywhere. They've got a really good distributor as well. They've got their distributor is the guys who owns Remedy Kombucha, which is here too.
Didi.
I haven't met the guys.
Mate, his name. This is. Oh yeah, I did. No, because his name's Didi.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm interviewing him next week.
Oh, sweet.
It's like the week of the Aussies.
Okay.
Because he launched Soul Fresh as well.
Yes.
Isn't right?
No, Soul Fresh is a different distribution business. So, Remedies.
I was getting excited there.
No, but they're really good. I think they've got Liquid Death in Australia.
They
just
do.
got it.
They do. Yeah. Because I've just been through their. I was flicking through their. Well, not flicking. I was virtually flicking through their catalogue.
Okay, back to the Australian landscape. So, premium and luxury retail's basically gone. So there is no Selfridges, Harrods.
Why?
Myers just been struggling for years, and so is David Jones, and there was only two really.
So funny how David Jones is like a premium retailer. It sounds like a plumber over here. Do you know what I mean? Dave Jones, plumbing, electricity.
Yeah, look, I had a meeting with the F&B manager at Harrods the other day, and I'm just like,
this is the Jazzle, baby. Yeah.
This is different. This is luxury retail. But you know, Barney's I don't think exists in New York anymore, and that was awesome. It's different. Nordstrom's struggling, I'm pretty sure, as well. You know, those places, they're not what they were. I think this is the only country that's still really working. But again, I don't know how well they're doing. But anyway, so in that luxury retail space, it's hard. The independent food space is probably pretty good and really interesting. So, you know, you've got some of the stuff that I saw down here that the Big Fish guys have done downstairs are in there, and really great brands. And, yeah, you know, there's really quality produce and quality. People in Australia are willing to spend money on food products and good products with good story. The problem is, it's not a problem, it's just what we have, is that it's a duopoly. So there's Coles, which is Wesfarmers, and then there's Woolworths. So
are you in any of those yet or not?
We just said no to Woolworths, actually.
Because?
We didn't think the brand was ready. We thought there was probably too much cannibalisation in the independent on and off trade. So we've got a half bottle coming out in Australia. Well, the container of glass is just about to land on shore in the next week and then start going in. But I'm making it exclusive for hotel rooms only, because the big opportunity is a hotel minibar.
I love it's a great what you said about we can go slower but go the right way.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's having the cojones to actually say no to retailer.
Yeah.
Is
It's not going to work for you. It's not going to work for me. And I've only got one shot with you, and you will admit that. So let's just call a spade here, and like, let's get it right. And let us go do a bit more work. It's great that you love the product. We'll be in touch when we're ready, and let's do this properly. Don't give me 115 stores. I want all 800 of them, because I can go get 115 hotel rooms, and I've got more points of distribution than what you're offering me right now.
yeah.
And I'm meeting my ideal customer in a premium hotel at their point of destination that isn't looking at the price. They're getting what looks yummy in the fridge, and we can win there.
Yeah. And I love it. It's great. I think people who are listening to this is, but then the other side of that is when if there's say a founder who hasn't got loads of dough behind them, that it could be sometimes you've got to just say yes to that listing. It's an interesting thing.
There's a balance of risk and reward, and spreading yourself thin and remaining focused, and when to put yourself in the shit and when to try to get out of it. And I will do it where I'm just like, fuck yeah, let's go, and I'll just like go and create all this mess, and everyone's got to come in behind me and clean it up in the team. It's like, fuck you.
The wake of Aaron.
Yeah.
What's the difference in mindset between an Australian from Melbourne and an Australian from Sydney? Describe that.
How can I be diplomatic? We're very different.
Is it like
it's just totally different. It's chalk and cheese, to be honest with you.
But how I'm trying to get into like.
Yeah. I don't think you have anyone that will admit it. How many Australian listeners you got?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, mate. So like,
I'm gonna put it on LinkedIn. So
unless you're gonna fucking put it all over.
And I have Sydney people, so not doing it. I love people from Sydney. They're fantastic.
No, but no, okay. So case in point. So Sasha from Warehouse. We talk about the north being more fun and the south being more prosperous, but more kind of, well, up their arse. And I was doing opening conversations for the podcast. I was like, hello, people. We've got Sasha on the podcast. I was like, he's got a brand new book. Obviously, I went to a good school. I've got a silver spoon up my arse. Do you know what I mean? I got very lucky. But I was like, he's got a new book out called Tales from the Dance Floor. And he was like, fucking wait there, pal. Tales from the Dance Floor. And I was like, oh, sorry, mate. But there's definitely a divide in the UK. Is it similar to that?
So Sydney's got the sort of, juice, tonic, health and wellness, very rich, affluent families live there. They know they're rich. They'll tell you they're rich. So let's say that's South London by the sounds of things, right? Queensland and Brisbane up higher is just a bunch of these legends.
Why are they so legends?
Oh, they're just like, it's 4X beer. I don't know if you know that, the gold one. They're called mangoes, and they're just smashing mangoes all day. They're like a mid-strength, and they just drink shitloads of beers. They're just like bogans. They, got singlets on. They don't really give a fuck. They wear like board shorts out to dinner. And then Melbourne's really similar to East London, and maybe some of the grittiness of Manchester from what I've seen. And then Melbourne and New York are chalk and cheese. Sydney and LA are chalk and cheese. Melbourne.
What do you mean chalk and cheese?
Not chalk and cheese. I got that saying wrong. So Melbourne and New York are basically the same.
Okay,
LA and Sydney are basically the same and the same people. San Fran and Melbourne are pretty much the same, and then Melbourne and London's pretty much the same. So it's pretty
interesting.
It's pretty easy, and for us at head office being in Melbourne as well, we're finding that the cities that have there's a bloke I really, really dislike, and I bumped into him at a cafe and got stuck in a conversation with him. But he said one of the most interesting things I've ever said. He said the people that live in cities that have a cold and a hot, or warm and cold, and have the undulation, which is obviously quite natural, they're way more balanced and easier to deal with than people that just live in the sun all the time. They're all just a bit crazy and a little bit. How you going,
mate? So Manchester, the weather is morbidly bleak at the best of times. It's I love it. I went to uni there. Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, Oasis, Joy Division, like the amount of music that blossomed out of that that city in that time, the Hacienda, all this was everything I was talking about with Sasha. And
I've seen 24-hour party people.
Yeah.
Happy Mondays.
Yeah. You know that Hallelujah song, Hallelujah by Happy Mondays, the remix one? I'll send you that after this, man. I'll WhatsApp to you. Sick.
Okay.
That's another one. If that was my brain, but
I'm a huge Oasis fan.
Oh, mate.
Probably my favorite band.
Yeah, they're just.
I was walking around. I was like, I nearly Googled where Liam Gallagher lives, and I was like, maybe I can just like walk around that block, and maybe I'll just see him somewhere.
Mate, they're based up in. I think he's in North London, like Highgate way.
Okay.
Not that I hang out with him all the time, mate. And I can't having a Costa coffee with him yesterday, mate. But we'll wrap this up in a sec, because I know you got a dart. But So I was thinking, I've always asked this, like, what is it about? And John Hegarty, who's the big creative, it started Saatchi & Saatchi, you know, the massive advertising agency.
Yes.
I read his book, which is like a short book on creativity, which is, you know, short. You can read it whilst you're on the shitter, basically. But he says, if you want to get creative, go to cities where the weather is bad. And I was like, I don't know why, but there's something about the bad weather that forces us inwards to be creative.
I wonder if it's because you got like this, you know what I mean? Like you're not open and like.
Yes, it's like
you're not like open and going, no, sun, you know, vitamin D. You're like, fuck, it's cold, and you're like, you know, mate, is that it? That forces you inward, and is it a body thing? Because obviously, so many things are physiological.
Yeah. Are there other brands that are in? What other founders are sick in Australia that I could speak to? Do you think? Is there because there's a massive community of challenger food and drink brands in London and the UK. It's like really tight. Is it the same in Oz?
Yeah, there's cool shit going on there. I'll flick them your way. Really good protocol is Heaps Normals and non-alcoholic, the number one in Australia. They're fucking huge. They're coming here actually, so that's perfect. So I'll introduce you to Andy, who's really cool, really good guy. They've just done a collab with Who Gives a Crap.
Oh,
they did a beer and toilet paper. Like fucking sick. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah.
So Heaps Normal, I highly recommend. I'll think of some more. You know, as I was saying earlier, you know, this is my last day of 16 hours.
Yeah, mate.
16-hour days in a row. So I'm surprised I actually was any like bit coherent for this. So.
Mate, you smashed it. We'll wrap it up here because you've got to get across to the other side of London.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
I fucking love that, mate. I really appreciate you doing this. And
likewise, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate the platform and what you're doing. And any way I can help with people that you want to talk to, and just let me know, and let's be friends, please.
Nice one, bro.
Thanks, buddy. I'll see you soon.
Right, that was sick.